Welcome back to Knitting Nicely. I'm Danielle Chauvet, your knitting coach. Please check out the links in my video description so you can find out how to contact me and learn more about knitting. Today, we're going to learn how to wind a hank, like this, into a center pull ball, like this. Here we go. So this is how a hank will come when you purchase it from a hand dyer company, like Miss Babs, which is where this is from. And this is what happens when you wind it up. Now, I don't have a Swift and I don't have a ball winder. So what I do is I use my two chairs, and I'll show you how I do it. So the first thing you gotta do is take off the little label. And I usually save the label in a little special spot so I remember where the yarn is from and what color it is and stuff. You just unwind it like that. And then step right into this big old circle. Now usually in a hank like this, there will be a part that has a little piece of yarn wrapped around it, like this, to kind of keep it in this big long circle loop. Once you have it in that loop thing, then you just drape it over the tops of your chairs. If you have some chairs like this, it's really helpful. And then I kind of move it around so that this little yarn thingy here is next to me. And then I take my scissors and I cut right next to the knot. There's a knot right here. So I take my little scissors. See that knot? I just cut right there. Now sometimes hanks will have more than one of these strings wrapped around it, like this. This one only has one, but I've seen some that have two, and I've also seen some that have as many as three. So just cut all of those off. This one only has one, so we're just gonna do one. And then you take those two ends out. So you should have two ends coming off of your yarn. Okay, and then you just find that end. And I like to start with the end that has the knot in it. And what I'm gonna do is wind this yarn onto my hand to make this little ball. Okay, so the first thing you do is put it across your hand like this. Just drape it over your thumb. And then you're gonna go in and out with your fingers. Kind of like a zigzag. In and out, in and out. And when you get to where it's starting to tighten up, then you take your yarn and kind of follow it around. And I like to take off my yarn a few times around, just so I'm not taking all that time to take it off. I don't want to take it all off. I don't want to take a whole bunch off, but because then it will start to tangle, but just enough so it's kind of just a little bit on the floor. And then I start the little zigzag around my fingers again. Around, and I kind of wiggle my fingers so that it slides it in. Around. Just keep going around and around until your fingers are a little bit filled up. See how I'm kind of moving my fingers so it slides it down to the base of my fingers. And there's no really, I don't really count how many times it goes around. I just kind of estimate, okay, that looks like it's about good. So then I pinch that part where they're kind of together in between my fingers and carefully slide it off. Like that. And then I fold it in half and move it to the tips of my fingers. Okay, this will make it so that it's it'll be a pull string going from the inside of your ball. And now I'm going to wrap this around these three fingers, just loosely, and I kind of open my fingers out slightly so it's not going to be tight. So I'm just going to go around really loosely. And it looks like I'm ready to take some more yarn off. So got yarn off. It's kind of a little dance I do, back and forth. If it gets stuck like that, you just kind of work it around and kind of move these yarns around a little bit. Kind of work it like this so that it'll come out. Where's that yarn going? There it is. Oh, already came off that side. Okay, now I'm ready. I've got a little bit on the floor. Keep on going really loosely. You don't want to be tight because then when you go to pull your yarn out from here, it'll just get stuck and it won't pull. So just go tightly and you can go fast. Go around and 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 around. And then pull some more off. If this comes off like this, see how that's off? Just flip it back around like that. Otherwise you'll get a big tangle. You don't want that. I'm gonna find the end again. There it is. Okay, and you just keep going around your fingers until you've got a pretty good chunk going around like that. And then you're going to take it off your fingers and start going around in a ball. So you slide it off your fingers like this. And I like to keep my thumb where this pull string is and kind of keep that pull string out of the way. So I push my thumb in like this and kind of gather these a little bit here. And then I go around loosely again. And I go around these 3 fingers again to keep that nice and loose. And then you just kind of go around for a little bit. Now sometimes this happens. You just have to kind of shake it out. Usually with yarn that's hand dyed, it's pretty slippery. And it'll just come right out. Now, as you can see, I'm starting to go around a little bit in this ball. I'm kind of moving this yarn going this way. Okay? And then I take those fingers out and move my hand so that I can keep going around kind of in this direction, around the ball, around the ball. And I keep on going around these fingers to keep it nice and loose. Around, 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 around. Oh, time to get some more yarn. I usually try to keep my thumb in there so I know exactly where my pull is. I don't lose it. And I take it out and move around. And I keep on going around my thumb. This area right here on this ball, that's where I had my thumb the entire time. Going around. And just keep going around. And you'll end up with a shape like that. Now I'm going to speed up the video a little bit. And I will, I'll come back, start recording again, and you'll see what it looks like towards the end. Okay, so now you can see that my ball is really starting to form. I'm keeping my thumb in there. I'm gonna grab some more yarn. If this happens to you, don't panic. Just scoop it up, put it back on. That's fine. You just want to keep the loops around the end of your chairs so that it doesn't get tangled. Because it can get tangled fast. It comes off. Okay, so you can see I'm going around and around. And I'm moving around the ball as I go. And I'm consciously remembering to keep the ball, or keep the yarn going around the ball loose. I'm not pulling tight at all because I don't want it to be hard to pull this yarn out when I'm wanting to knit it. Moving around, turning it as I go. Okay, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's a little bit further done. So I wanted to show you that it's starting to look more like a cake, and a little bit more of my method is I'm kind of going around at an angle. You can kind of see I'm going around at an angle, going around this way instead of wrapping around this way. I'm going around at an angle. So part of it is on the top and part of it is on the bottom, like this. And I go around and around. And that's what creates this shape. I just want to show you that, but we're nearing the end. You can see that most of the yarn is now in my little ball instead. And when I get to the very end, I'll show you what I do with the yarn at the end. Okay, as you can see, I only have a very small amount of yarn left to put in my ball. And so I'm gonna just go ahead and record the rest of this for you so you can see the end and what I do differently at the end. I've got just a little bit more left going around this way, my diagonal. And then, as you can see, I can pull and start pulling it and it moves around. I'm not quite there yet. I don't like it to pull that tight, so I'm gonna go around a few more times before I start pulling it like that. That was pulling a little bit too tightly. I don't like to wind my ball tightly. Okay, now I think it's gonna work. There we go. And you can see it's pulling off of there. So I just go like this, and then instead of going diagonal, I'm gonna move around so I'm going straight on in the middle of my ball. And I pull a little bit more off and go around the middle of it. Pull a little bit more off, go around the middle. Eventually I can start just pulling and winding as I go. But I gotta make sure that I don't wind it too tightly, because that could make it harder to pull from the middle. And we're almost done. And then I'll show you what to do with the very end so that your ball doesn't unwind as you're working with it. There it goes. Ta-da! Okay, so now with this end of this yarn, I'm gonna go around, still not tightly, but I'm just gonna tuck this little end right inside those last few rounds that I made. And it keeps it from falling apart, and you're ready to pull.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And next time you have a hank to wind, you know how to do it without a swift and without a ball winder. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, and you can also hit subscribe to get more videos from Knitting Nicely. Happy knitting!